Hey guys, came from 15 back at it with another video for you guys. Joined by my Uncle Darrell, and it's been a while. We're here to talk NFL draft. The first round happened. We only got an hour till round two starts. So wanted to go over the first round of the draft. Some picks we like, some picks we didn't like. It is what it is. We'll have a separate video about Chicago Bears draft picks because we're Bears fans. I already like our first pick so far. Again, we'll get to that pick when we get to it, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's kind of the thing. Looking forward again. Also look forward. I did do a recording of a Clippers video, but I'm actually going to trash it. Redo another video. It's about Lawrence Frank, his press conference, and my so-called belief of whatever's left of that team. But it is what it is at the end of the day. No Angels
No
videos really because
testicular fortitude.
Cole getting hurt.
I'm just saying.
But
No testicular fortitude.
that's going good. So let's get to the draft. First pick of the
Yeah.
draft. I think it's pretty obvious who the Panthers were taking after they traded up due to the Bears pick, and they select Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama. My goodness. I like the pick for them. They needed a quarterback. It's their first quarterback they've drafted, in the first round, especially with a first pick since Cam Newton. Um, Obviously the one thing around him is I think their offensive line is solid, but they still could add some pieces. They definitely do need to give him a wide receiver one because obviously with the Bears they traded DJ Moore to get up which I absolutely found funny in the whole discussions how the GM for the Panthers didn't want to give up DJ Moore, but it's like, dude, you want the first pick or not? Otherwise, we'll go move on to somebody else.
Yeah.
And of course, sometimes you have to bite the bullet, that you're dealt with, and you just got to do what you got to do. And they managed to go up. Look, I think he's going to be a good quarterback for them. Again, they're going to have to surround him with the right pieces for him to succeed, but he was great at Alabama. I think he can be great at the NFL level. We'll see. Obviously, this whole thing's gonna be compared him and Justin Fields from some people's eyes. I know Skip Bayless, he's saying from that point, but I think right now Justin Fields is a better quarterback, but I'm not saying Bryce Young will be a bad quarterback. I think he's gonna be a solid quarterback. He's just what the Panthers need. It's gonna be interesting. Obviously, the guy's gonna have to try to not take a lot of hits because he's obviously a smaller build type of guy. But we'll see how he does. But I think it's a good pick for the Panthers in the start of their rebuild.
Well, I mean, everybody and their grandmama and their aunt knew Bryce Young was going to be number one, regardless of the team. If the Bears were the Bears are going to if the Bears are going to draft, I mean, who else was they going to grab? I mean, they could have done Will Anderson Jr. at number one, but everybody knew that Bryce Young was going to be the number one overall pick. Poles knew Bryce Young was going to be the number overall pick. He already got a quarterback in tow. So what does he do? He trades down. And the first team that came along was Carolina. So, we got what we got. They got what they got. Bryce Young is the number one pick overall. It was just super obvious to me. And, roll tide.
Yep. Obviously he's going to a good situation with the fact that he does have Frank Wright. So Frank Wright getting his restart in Carolina, he gets, I would say, out of his entire years, a competent quarterback for once. Compared to Carson Wentz. Philip Rivers was good for him, but obviously he was much older. And the many other quarterbacks they had in Indianapolis, I thought he kind of got a raw deal dealt over there because he had nothing to work with at the quarterback position. But hey, he's getting a new start and he's already off and running. So expect Bryce Young to do pretty good things.
Yep.
The Texans, who epically failed at losing their last game of the season, well, they had to get second best. And they ended up drafting, obviously, number 2 best quarterback in the draft, C.J. Stroud. And again, there were some people that valued C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young. It is what it is. I think that's a good pickup for Houston right there because they needed a quarterback. Because it's not like they're going to run it back with Davis Mills to try to tank for Caleb Williams unless they were willing to do that. But obviously with DeMeco Ryans in the building, he probably wants a competitive team, and it's better to get your quarterback now than try to play by chance like you did this past season and F it up by getting one random win. Um, it's look, I think he's gonna be good. It's gonna be interesting to see how CJ Stroud looks like. Now there was times when I watched him, he didn't look like that good, but that Georgia game, he just I was like, Jesus, he looked really great in that game.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But I think he's gonna be a good solid pickup for them.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really impressed with a lot of Stroud's game much either. Bryce Young is better because for me, not because, I follow Alabama football, but more so because Bryce Young knows how to work the pocket. Um, he has a clock in his head. He's really cerebral at the line of scrimmage. He calls out protections. He calls out schemes right there at the line of scrimmage. It's very rare that you can actually see a college quarterback doing that. And that was one of the things that his offensive coordinator, glad he gone anyway, and I know it's not saying much, but Bill O'Brien was like, it's rare that you see this guy calling coverages right at the line of scrimmage. So he's very cerebral at the point of attack. And I think Frank Reich's got a gem. But we'll see about CJ Stroud. I don't know. He now physically, obviously, he's probably the better quarterback because he's very tall, he's very big. But I mean, you want a quarterback to be able to, make plays in the pocket. And I think Bryce Young can do that a little bit better than C.J. Stroud. But nonetheless, C.J. Stroud is still a good quarterback and a good pick by the Texans.
Yeah, I do also think they do also need to get him another wide receiver. I don't know about John Mechie
Yeah,
being their wide receiver one there, but I definitely think they need him. Wasn't Cooks is already gone, right? Brandon
Cooks
Cooks
is
is
gone.
gone. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks gone.
Yeah.
But
Go ahead.
but as far as Mechie is concerned, I don't think he's going to be ready for the start of the season. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they're going to need to surround this guy with some wide receivers, some more talent. So, we'll see. But I wouldn't expect the Texans to really just, you know, do too much unless they, shore up some holes on the offensive defense.
Yep. And speaking of the Texans, we go right back to the Texans with the third overall pick, which actually pretty much shocked me that they make their draft pick and then they're already back on the clock. They traded up with the Arizona Cardinals. I don't have the details, but I know they did give up I think next year's first round pick for them
Yeah,
to
they
the
gave up
Cardinals.
next year's first round. I think it was either
I think they
this
gave up
year's.
second round too.
I think they gave him next year's second round as well too. I think they gave him four overall players. I think meaning picks.
Hmm.
So they swapped. I think they swapped picks. But because Carolina got not Carolina. Arizona, I think, wound up getting six out the deal, right?
I think so. No, yeah,
Yeah.
they went back to 12 and
They went
then
back to 12 and came back up to six. Okay.
yes. Yeah.
All right. But it was a good trade. Now, I got to admit, that was the first curveball of the day. I have never seen a team already have a pick in place and then trade up to get the very next pick. I've personally never seen that. And I think,
I feel like there was more. And I was watching some sort of I think it was some sort of Chicago station network, or I think I was watching something where they were talking about what the Houston Texans did, and they're like, yeah, the owner wanted a quarterback, but the GM wanted a pass rusher. So in a way, they both teams get what they want, or both people get what they want. Owner gets his quarterback. Um, GM, and obviously you would make sense that D'Amico Ryans wanted a pass rusher. They get up,
yeah.
they take Will Anderson,
But
Junior.
see, the thing is just like this. I mean, you can't win in today's football without solid players from the quarterback position.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have one. Now
Yep.
I know D'Amico Ryans is a defensive mind. He's probably a defensive first guy, and he's probably thinking I can have a defense that's so good that we don't really necessarily need a really good solid quarterback. Well, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I don't believe that. But you got to have a quarterback. Now, will C.J. Stroud be the guy moving forward? Hopefully, that's the case.
Yeah. But Will Anderson Jr., I think that's a solid move. Trade up.
Yeah,
You get your pass rusher. You hope he turns out to be one of the next dominant pass rushers for the upcoming
yes,
years. under
Yeah,
D'Amico Ryans, I think he's definitely going to be really good.
yeah.
Um, so pretty much they address two needs that, hey, you'll take. So it's gonna be interesting to see how the Texans actually look going to next season.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. They did a lot of maneuvering to their draft pick structure to come up and get, Will Anderson Jr. And I gotta admit, the dude has got a motor that don't stop. So um, by far the best defender in the draft, Roll Tide. And we'll see where it goes, man. So we'll see where it goes. But Texans made some really good moves the first couple picks.
Yeah, and at that point in the draft, they were probably the number one team in the winners in the draft so far. But we'll get to the other ones.
Yeah.
Next pick, fourth pick. The Colts, they needed to get a quarterback, and they chose Anthony Richardson out of Florida. Now, listen, obviously, the thing with the Colts is, well, we can run it back with the quarterbacks we have on our roster, suck for a year, and hope we tank for Caleb Williams, or we just get one of these quarterbacks, which was really either Hendon Hooker, Will Levis, or Anthony Richardson. They took the quarterback that, in a way, like Will Levis, kind of got all this talk out of nowhere. Now, strictly due to the potential this guy has. Now, listen, I'm not going to say Anthony Richardson is going to be a bad quarterback, but he is definitely what you would say a project quarterback in the
Oh,
making.
yeah. I got to admit, I would not, me personally, the dude is huge,
Yeah.
6'5", almost 250 pounds. Let's just admit, the dude is huge.
And his scouting
But
combine and all his like stuff was like really good.
yeah, I mean, so me personally, I don't think I would have gone with a guy who only had 13 starts
Yep.
at the collegiate level. I don't know if I would have gone with Will Levis either. Me personally, I would have probably tried to trade up to go get CJ Stroud. But the coach, they probably did. They just probably just didn't want to. Now, my understanding, they did try to trade up to number one,
Yep.
but they weren't, they weren't
They have
interested
enough.
in.
They didn't have enough good capital that Ryan Poles would
Well,
take.
they didn't want to give up Pittman. That's
I
my
think Ryan
understanding.
Poles wasn't told on Pittman being a number
I don't
one.
think he was sold on me either. That's why he probably was just like, well, if you give me Pittman and this, that, and the other, then I might consider it.
Yeah.
But coaches didn't have enough, and they got Anthony Richardson. So we'll see where it goes, man. I'm not really sold on him.
Yeah.
He might make a play or two here or there, but hopefully, they got a good backup where this kid can learn. But if you think that they may just go ahead and throw him in the fire and just go ahead and start
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. Honestly, might as well learn because they have the Eagles' old OC as their head coach now. So he did a good job with developing Jalen Hurts and everything.
Yeah.
But again, his guy's a project. Not to say that I don't like the pick, but really the Colts were kind of tied behind their back. It's like, well, take a quarterback. You have to take one of the quarterbacks that are around in this draft, and you got to just roll with what you got, unless they're going to do the whole thing of, well, we're just going to try to stink for a year, and hopefully we're in the sweepstakes for Caleb Williams, and then we'll go after him. So,
And then on top of that, the way that quarterbacks are being used now, they're being used as dual threats now.
yep,
Pocket passers are almost a thing of the past. So your quarterback has to be able to, uh, think on the run, so to speak. So it seems to be that's the way the NFL is going. And the NFL is all about trends. And right now, I think the mobile quarterback is the latest trend that a lot of teams are going to try to follow.
yep. So obviously he's going to have to put in a lot of work. With the Florida games that I watched, he didn't really impress me, but hey, you can't
Me
do much.
either.
You can't do what
Me
you got to
either.
do. 13 starts,
Yeah.
it does scare me because, hey, listen, we're Bear fans. We know about a quarterback that we drafted with only 13 starts this high, and that was Mitch Trubisky, and look how that looked out. Now, I'm not saying the same thing can happen to Richardson. He could shock people, but he's going to have to put a lot of work in to prove a lot of people wrong.
And physically, he can do the job.
Yeah.
Physically, he has all the physical tools to be able to do the job and do the job effectively. My question is going to be moving forward. Is he going to be able to go through his progressions and make the throws?
Yep. Yeah. Next team, the Seattle Seahawks. They drafted fifth. honestly, if you ask me after last night, Seattle might have won the damn. Well, so far they're a draft winner with what they got. Because again, we'll talk about the JSM pick soon, but
Yeah,
they ended up. Now this was obviously it was one I was wondering, and we were talking off during the video or during the draft, like maybe they go Carter here, but Seattle getting their pick from Denver from the Russell Wilson train, they actually go cornerback and they actually take Devon Witherspoon out cornerback out of Illinois. Most people said he was the best cornerback out of this draft. He was really damn
he
good.
was. Yeah, he
Um,
was.
to pair him alongside the other corner that they have, they got two lockdown dudes that,
And led the league in interceptions.
yeah,
I'm like, man, Seattle ain't playing. I was like, dude, that is a fantastic pick. The secondary was already really good.
mm-hmm,
And you're about to add this cat to it, man.
yeah,
Seattle, Seattle is not playing.
yeah. I'm almost looking back at last year, saying this team's gonna be a joke. Next thing you know, within a year, they look like they could potentially be Super Bowl contenders. As crazy as it sounds,
Crazy as it sounds. Imagine Geno Smith at the Super Bowl.
it's crazy. I
After
like this
everything
pick for
that dude's
you
been
know,
through. I was gonna say after everything that guy's been through as an NFL quarterback,
yeah,
he goes to the Super Bowl.
yeah. That would be crazy for him.
Yeah,
Yeah. Seattle, honestly, they completely like they're gonna be a good team next year.
yeah, they
So
are. They
well,
are.
I like their picks, and it's gonna be interesting to see what they do in the second round and later rounds too. So I like the pick for it.
Next year's going to depend on if Geno Smith
Yep.
does not have that, if he improves upon what he did last season.
Yeah.
If he improves upon what he did last season, yeah, I think Seattle can hit up the NFC Championship.
Yep. The next pick was the Arizona Cardinals pick, which are originally it was going to be the Detroit Lions pick, but what happened is Detroit moved back after or no, my bad. Jesus, let me refresh my memory.
Yeah,
They traded back to the 12th pick with
number 12.
Houston. Um,
Correct.
then they actually traded up with Detroit to go to the the sixth pick in the draft. Now I was wondering, okay, what has Detroit got up their sleeve? But Arizona, they end up pretty much taking Paris Johnson Jr. I'm guessing they were
Yep.
afraid of the Raiders probably potentially taking Paris Johnson Jr. Um, and I look, it's an offensive line help for Kyler Murray to keep him up and alive in the pocket, because he's been getting hurt the last few years, and you got to do again. These offensive line, we'll talk about it with the Bears. You can't go no wrong with no offensive line. And Paris Johnson Jr. He's a really great tackle. He was really good at Ohio State, and it's just a nice thing to keep Kyler Murray uptight so he doesn't get hurt no more.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I thought it was a great pick as well too. Um, Detroit did, move out of the position. We'll get to the reasons why later on. I got, maybe just a little bit of a take about how stupid the Detroit Lions,
Yeah.
look right now. Um, but Paris Johnson Jr. was a fantastic pick. I was kind of hoping he would, fall to number 9, and the Bears would go ahead and grab him. But it is what it is. But Arizona didn't do too bad with getting Johnson.
Yep. Next pick was the 7th pick, and that was the Las Vegas Raiders, and they ended up taking defensive end Tyree Wilson. Good solid pick for them. They
Yeah.
needed to pair it with Max Crosby, another pass rusher on the other edge.
Yeah.
Hey, you gotta get home because obviously the secondary isn't the best.
Yeah.
And you gotta do something. I honestly thought they might have went like maybe offensive line, but they went defensive line. They do need to improve their defense. It wasn't the best at all, so pair that up with Max Crosby, who's like a really good NFL, player. You got, Tyree Wilson right then and there out of Texas Tech. I like the move.
Yeah, I like the move as well too. I think there's going to be more defensive players being selected by the Raiders moving forward because the defense was horrible. The secondary couldn't stop anybody. And even though you do get the edge rusher, you got to be able to have really good cover guys to be able to cover long enough, especially when you're dealing with a cat like Patrick Mahomes. You got to be able to hold these receivers long enough so your edge rushers can get to them. So um, I think the Raiders are going to be dominantly drafting defense.
Yep. Eighth pick in the draft. I was actually kind of shocked by this.
This was the curveball for me.
Yeah, I didn't think he'd be taken this high, nor by this team, because they
Yep.
already have a thousand yard rushing running back.
Well, they did it by committee though, so it
Yeah,
wasn't really shocking that they drafted Bijan Robinson out of Texas with the eighth overall pick overall. But because Atlanta was a run dominant football team last year,
yep,
so it just the drafting it wasn't really a shock to me.
no,
Drafting them this high,
that was a shock.
that was a shock. That was because there was a lot of talk but I think it was just talk.
Yeah,
Mostly by fans that the Bears would be interested in Bijan Robinson, and maybe Atlanta sipped that tea a little bit, saying, well, we got to get this guy. We were looking at this guy with our second round pick or our third round pick, so now we got to get this guy because the Bears are going to draft him in number 8. If we don't get it, the Eagles are definitely going to will be looking to draft him. So it was just a smoke screen that I thought that was thrown out, and Bijan Robinson is going to get paid because of it.
Yep. I think that's a solid pick for them. It's another weapon, that they can use alongside Cordell Patterson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Obviously,
Yep.
They seem like they revamped their defense. Their defense looks really good too. Because
The
they
only
smell blood.
question
They see
for
that the
Atlanta right
NFC
now is
South.
going to be the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Can Desmond Ritter make the throws?
Yep.
Can he? And we'll see.
Yeah. They could, if they're not good enough, again, they could be in the Caleb Williams thing, because guess what? They're really only a quarterback away. They look like they could be a solid team because they see the door after Tom Brady left the Buccaneers. NFC South is literally wide open. Does Derek Carr really scare you? You obviously got Bryce Young, who's trying to come into his own, but that's another rookie quarterback right then. I don't think, as much as Bryce Young was good in college football, he won't scare you for maybe a year or two.
That's correct.
So
and you got to give Bryce Young some weapons. You got to give Bryce Young some weapons. Who is he throwing to? Who he handing the ball off to? You got to give Bryce Young some weapons, and we might be talking about a project of 2, maybe 3 years.
Yep.
Bryce Young before Carolina can be considered a threat in the NFC South.
Yeah. Now, if they still had DJ Moore, okay, then maybe that's a different story. But they don't have DJ Moore.
No.
So yeah.
No.
But hey, Carolina does have a solid defense. They do have a solid defense, though. But NFC South, honestly, at this point, it's wide open.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be interesting to see where the division goes.
Yep.
So the 9th pick originally that was held by the Bears, they ended up trading back one spot, and the Eagles traded up one spot, and then they ended up taking Jalen Carter, which when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, they're taking Jalen Carter right here with the pick. Now, again, we'll talk about with the Bears. Now, I think this is a good move for the Eagles, because it's not a high risk, high reward, but really in the grand scheme of things, it's not, because they have so much depth on that defensive line. Even after Hargrave left, I think this is a good spot for him. And again, I'll talk about it when we talk about the Bears pick, but the guy obviously coming to this draft, before the draft, he had a bunch of character-like issues with what happened tragically when that one car accident with the two people dying. Him lying to the police about being there and things like that. His workout stuff. All the way. I think this is a good situation for him. One, because if he flops for the Eagles, I think the Eagles are like, all right, thanks for coming. We still got some other talented players right here. Obviously he's going to be the guy that hopefully replaces Fletcher Cox for them. But the one thing is, I think this is good for him because he's got a lot of veteran players up in there. Lane Johnson, Kelsey, Fletcher Cox, I just mentioned, that can get up in this guy's ear and say, hey, listen, what you did, the last year in Georgia, you can't do that stuff here. You got to step your game up because now you're getting paid a lot of millions of dollars, and this team's going to depend on you. I think for him being in this locker room, I think that's good for him, as opposed to, say, being in the Chicago Bears locker room where, he'll pretty much be in a locker room amongst the same guys that are around his same age, and they don't have much veteran presence. But and then two on top of it, he's paired with a lot of dudes that he's got Jordan Davis. They obviously got Nolan Smith at the end of the draft, guys that he's played with the last few years at Georgia. So I think that's another good thing for him because that's teammates he's played with. So I like the move for Philly. If he busts on them, well, hey, they can. It's Philadelphia. They'll find a way to deal with it and recoup that. But if he hits for them, hey, that's just going to be a really great move for them. So it's going to be interesting to see how Jalen Carter looks like. The thing is, I would envision that the Eagles are going to make him a player that's going to try 100% of the time because that was the one thing at Georgia. There would be times where you'd see like, okay, he's going 100%. Then you'd have other, some other plays you see him. He's kind of like going half speed and not really trying, not hustling as much. And if you're a team that was kind of wary of him, which 8 other teams passed him by, and heck, the Bears, if you want to say 9 other teams, the Bears even traded back because they're like, we're not confident in you. But obviously that's probably more likely due to the character issues and then a little bit of the hustling issues. But we'll see how Jalen Carter turns out in Philadelphia. He has a chance to pretty much turn what going into this draft was like a terrible moment in his life to maybe probably turn it into a really good career.
I didn't have a problem with trading back. We got a 4th rounder. Granted, it's next year. We got a 4th rounder. We got an extra pick just to move back. And yeah, it was Poles who said it, not me, not you, not even Coach Eberflus, that we are looking for high character guys. That's what we want. That's what we covet. And apparently, after the situation with Jalen Carter, he was deemed by the Bears as not of high character.
And the other 8 teams probably felt the same exact way.
Probably felt the same exact way. So they didn't pick him up regardless of his talent because considering he's not one of those high character guys, he's gonna do things in low character once he gets drafted with a team he is. So yeah, they is a veteran football club that's probably going to make sure that he gets reined in. He's got people that he played with, things of that nature. And then on top of that, more importantly than anything, they can rein him in because they have Super Bowl aspirations. By them being there last year, they can sit up here and reflect to him, simply say, hey, dude, this is the program, this is the process of how we went to the Super Bowl, is follow it or don't come here. So we'll see where it goes. We all know the draft is an inexact science, and it's not very much. It's just not very much to it. Either the kid comes in to work or he don't, and that's what we're going to see with Jalen Carter over the next couple of years. Either you're going to work or you're not.
Yeah. So with the Bears trading back, they get a 4th round pick for next year's draft, which, hey, if they want to move up, especially in the 2nd round or the 3rd round, they could use and attach that pick. But they ended up taking offensive tackle Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. I love this decision by Ryan Poles. For once, the Bears finally invest a draft pick in the offensive side of the ball, which I've been calling. If you want to get an accurate reading on it, if Justin Fields the guy, you got to give him whatever help you possibly need. And he took 55 sacks last season, and he got hurt also too, which is the 2nd straight year he's gotten hurt because he's been taking too many hits. You want to make sure this guy is upright and he's healthy. And what better way to get Darnell Wright up in here? He gave up no sacks in a full season last year for Tennessee. I think that's good enough.
Much as they passed as well, too.
Yeah.
As much as they passed the football, and it's like they passed the football more than they ran the football.
Yep. And there was a play. There was a play.
Sack.
Yeah. And there was a play when Tennessee
played Alabama.
Yeah. Will Anderson, I think, went on ESPN and said, oh, yeah, the one guy that blocked me the hardest that made me work was freaking Darnell Wright.
Number 58.
I
think he called him out by number.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't get anywhere near Hendon Hooker.
Yeah. There was one play I saw all over social media. It was Wright versus Carter. Just beat him easy.
Yeah, yeah.
And you
So
could,
now, I mean, it's the game that Georgia played them. Yeah, Georgia did beat them, but it wasn't because of Jalen Carter.
yep,
I can tell you that much.
yep. Look, I like the move. You
I
sure up.
like the move too.
You know, he's obviously going to be the immediate right tackle. And
Correct.
again, if he ends up being and the funny thing was funny enough was Bears Twitter was blowing up. They're like, why did we pass up on? Listen, Bear fans are fickle. If we had taken Jalen Carter, then people are like, wait, why not go offensive line? You can't have your way with Bear fans. Again, I'll address more of this in our own Bears video and things like that and kind of do a
Yeah,
little.
let's go ahead and move on because I got a lot that I want to unpack with the Bears and their fans, well, and our fans, I should say, because I'm a Bears fan as well. So it was just a bunch of,
Yeah, and hey,
usual nonsense around draft day. We always do this and we don't draft playmakers. And I like the guys who look good and just
yeah.
whatever.
Bears address the need that hey, they got this guy help. Again, this is another move from Ryan Poles. It's like, listen, Justin, we love you, but if you don't show up, we got a quarterback waiting. Hopefully, we're bad enough to draft in Caleb Williams. You got enough help. We gave you your receiver one. Now we're giving you a right tackle. And
That's
two,
correct.
listen, if Braxton Jones turns out to have a better season where he's not getting blown up just by pure pass rush domination, just from a straight bull rush, and obviously Wright ends up being a really good tackle, and those two end up becoming like dang near Pro Bowl, All Pro Bowl players. Well, you got two
Yep.
Pro Bowl tackles right then and there. You drafted last year and this year, and they're pretty much on the same rookie deals.
And then in free agency, we address the offensive line as well too. So I mean, the offensive line is coming together.
Yep.
I think at this particular moment now, right now, you pick up a few free agents for the offensive line, see what you can get there, and looks good. But
Yep.
for the most part, I think Bears fans just need to just sit down and chill out.
Yeah. I think Bears will go defensive line here. I definitely want them to take a center just in case because you can't really trust Whitehair, who I think should be a post-June cut, and then you can't trust Lucas Patrick. He's just as bad as Kawhi Leonard and Paul George when it comes to health.
You can't trust Lucas Patrick. I was going to say we could probably go Whitehair at center. I don't even know if Whitehair wants to play the position, which is the reason why he kept moving around. But
Question
right
will be
now,
if Poles is willing to eat up 14 million in the cap space for next year just to keep Whitehair on the roster. So we'll see. But
I don't believe he would be.
yeah, I could see him being a cut, and they draft one of these talented centers in the draft.
That's true. I can see it too.
So moving on to Tennessee, you would think maybe if they had a chance to take Darnell Wright, if he was still available, he definitely did that. That's probably why the Bears didn't trade back too far, because then you have the tight ends taking the next best tackle on the market, which was Peter Skoranek from Northwestern. Only negative people say about him, he's got short arms. I'm believing that again. Tennessee wanted to probably get Darnell Wright, but they saw the Bears got him, and they're like, well, we got to get the next best guy. So
Correct.
yeah. Now more people consider
it's a trickle down effect.
Yeah.
When it's one thing for when the first offensive lineman comes off the board, but when the second one comes off this early in the draft, it's a trickle down effect. And now everyone's trying to scramble to just try to get offensive linemen, which is what happened here with the Texans.
Yeah, which is why I love the Bears not wasting any time and just letting these tackles go off the market. Because that really because really the top three were Wright, Johnson Jr., and Skoronski. And after that, it's kind of
you think it was in that order though?
No.
Yeah, I was about to say I thought Johnson was the best one overall, and I'm pretty sure the Bears are hoping that that Johnson would fall. Let's throw out Jalen Carter out there as the guy we want, things of that nature.
Yeah,
but we really want Johnson. I'm pretty sure Johnson was number one on Poles' draft board.
Yeah. So I think he can be a solid player. Now the question is, where will the Texans put him? Will they put him at tackle? Most people say he's more of a guard than a tackle, but we'll see. We'll see. But I think it's a solid pickup for Tennessee. It's gonna be interesting to see because they got obviously quarterback questions. They may take Hooker or Levis tonight. whenever they're up on the draft clock? I don't know, but they really have not. Unless you want to run it back with, Tannehill, and then there are always reports saying they don't got no confidence or they lost faith in Willis already. So
Yeah. But I mean, what did you expect? I mean, Willis was just like Anthony Richardson, man. He only played a handful of games.
yep,
Now he comes into the league, big dude. He can definitely run with the football, but I
you
mean,
got no wide receiver one. You hope the dude from Arkansas turns into that Traylon Burks, but that's only one season in.
correct.
So it's gonna be interesting to see what the Texans do. I do like the fact that they did replace Skronsky, I think, for Lewin, who left them or something like that.
Taylor Lowell, yep, he left.
Yeah, so yep. But anyways, let's move on to the next pick.
But again, they had to get an offensive lineman
Yep.
because, again, I mean, with the way you run the ball and you got a piss poor quarterback, you got to protect them.
Yep. And the two teams behind, which were, you know, the Lions, Packers, Steelers, who they ended up taking Broderick Jones, who we'll talk about in a second. That's kind of the thing there. But anyways, we'll be back to talk the back half of the draft. And yeah, but till then, guys, peace. Okay, we're back. We're back. Right now the second round's pretty much going on. So all during this video, as of this recording, I guess I'll list those things. But going into number 12 pick. The good old Detroit Lions.
They don't let you down, do they?
No, they don't. It's funny because Detroit Lions fans this entire offseason before the draft keep talking all this massive crap like they've won anything. Oh, you beat us 2 times. Yeah, big deal. You beat the Bears 2 times. Who cares? You guys still miss the playoffs. They think they're running the division.
Yeah, whoopee.
So, yeah. They ended up drafting Jahmyr Gibbs, running back out of Alabama. Now, I do like Jahmyr Gibbs, the running back. I do. Now, I do believe it's another running back that I think was kind of taken a little bit high because it's a running back. I'm actually shocked that we saw 2 running backs taken in the first round this high.
I was pretty shocked too, but the thing is, and you know how it is every year with every draft, it's always the conversations that lead to what a lot of teams like to do. Yes. And I'm pretty sure that Bijan Robinson was number 1 on Detroit's draft board. I'm pretty sure he was. I don't know. It had to be money. Maybe. We can probably, if we can get him at 12, then that'd be great. Oh shoot, they took him at 8. So now what do we do? Okay, who's the next? Who's next on our draft board? Well, it's Jahmyr Gibbs. Personally, I'm sitting over here like, why are you trying to go running back anyway? You already got Swift. You already got Montgomery.
Yep.
Why?
Well, there are rumors saying that they may trade Swift.
Well, now that they didn't got Gibbs,
yeah,
they're going to probably try to move Swift somewhere here between the second and third rounds.
Yep. It's a clueless decision by the Lions. I don't know.
But who's going to trade for a running back?
I guess a believer in DeAndre Swift. I don't know. And DeAndre Swift has had injury problems too.
And he's from Auburn.
So
I'm sorry, I had to just,
I don't know. I guess we'll see what the plan is, but I will say, Montgomery and Gibbs backfield, it does kind of scare me a bit because that's a nice 1-2 punch. So we'll see how that looks, but I think it's kind of a dumb pick.
Gibbs is good.
Yeah.
Gibbs is good. And, it's a nice little change of pace. You got Gibbs and you got Montgomery, who's the guy that can move the chain, especially late in the game.
Yep. So, moving on. The Packers, who actually we'll get off in a moment. Packers finally make the trade official. They traded Aaron Rodgers to the New York Jets. Obviously, because they get the 13th.
They didn't let me down either.
Listen, I'm happy that Aaron Rodgers is out of the division. I should have told Matt. I talked to him yesterday. Now he's going to be the AFC North the AFC East problem. So when I go see my boy Matt, if you're watching this video, Aaron Rodgers is going to be your problem. So if he's always beating the Patriots for the next couple of years he's got left in his career, don't blame me. Than the
But
Packers.
again, the Packers, they just don't let you down. They
Yep.
draft edge rusher. I'm like,
And he's a good now, mind you, he's a good edge rusher. He's a good edge
I'm not
rusher.
debating that. I'm not debating that. I'm
Yeah.
just saying there was a more glaring need
Yep.
than edge rusher,
Wide receiver.
wide receiver, cornerback. Didn't do it.
Yeah.
You got Alexander, who's probably in the last year of a contract. Y'all gonna let go.
I
Got
feel
to
like they would
replace him.
resign him. I feel like they would resign him.
Well, now they might. Now they might. They didn't got Rodgers' contract off the books.
Yeah.
Well, not fully just yet.
Yeah.
But edge rusher when you need wide receivers and you got
Especially for Jordan Glove.
oh my goodness gracious, if there's one quarterback in the league that need wide receivers, it's him.
So
Packers don't let you down during draft day.
yeah. Hey. They keep continue going defense and just avoiding the offense. Aaron Rodgers gone now, and they still go defense.
Still go defense.
The Steelers. They ended up moving up, I think, with the Jets. And they ended up taking probably the last best offensive tackle in the draft out of Georgia, Broderick Jones.
Yes, I thought it was a great pick, but it was just what we said anyway.
Yep.
I mean, there were 4 top tier offensive linemen in this draft. Everyone else is just like, okay, we can mix and match, probably pick this guy, what have you.
Yeah.
But once Johnson went off the board and everybody knew that the Bears was going to be drafting one, that's when Texans and the Steelers decided to trade up to go get those other 2.
Yeah.
So
he's gonna be good for them. He's gonna be good for them. Gives protection for
yes.
Kenny Pickett because again, Kenny Pickett he got hurt a lot and it was mostly concussions.
That's correct. So now they got to protect the kid. I mean, wide receiver was already settled when they got Allen Robinson.
Yep.
You know, they already got George Pickens, Deontay Johnson. I mean, you know, Freiermuth. They got a really, I mean,
yeah.
come on.
Kenny Pickett looks really good quarterback for them.
Yeah. So offensively, this might be the year for Pittsburgh to blow up.
Yep.
And they got Najee Harris.
Yeah. So good for them.
But the only thing that they got to really settle on is offensive linemen. And I do expect Pittsburgh to draft a couple more moving forward in this draft.
Yeah. 15th pick, the Jets take Will McDonald the fourth out of Iowa State. He's an outside linebacker. I didn't really watch Iowa State games, and nor, if I'm being honest, I don't know much about this guy, and I don't know the Jets linebacker thing or situation. But
well, again, he's an edge rusher. He's highly athletic, but he's an edge rusher. That was one of the problems that I think the Jets had last year, you know, getting to the quarterback. But at the same time, the defense overall was pretty solid.
Yeah.
I mean, me personally, what I would have done, I would have went on and got, you know, Jackson Smith.
That's what I thought they were going to do. I thought they were going to take a receiver.
I was thinking they were going to go there and pair him up with Garrett Wilson.
Yep.
Got Aaron Rodgers, but it just seems like that wherever Aaron Rodgers goes, wide receivers just don't follow.
Yeah.
So, but they didn't. They got an edge rusher. He's highly athletic though. I will tell you this, highly athletic, and you know you can get to the quarterback with this kid.
Yep. The Washington Commanders, which they're on the verge of a sale. Good for them, so they won't be a joke anymore. First, I'll say this: first thing that owner needs to do is find that what is it? What's that one stupid display they have of freaking what's the player that passed away? His name? I'm forgetting his name.
Sean Taylor.
Yeah, Sean Taylor. Get him an actual statue. The new owner, whoever is the owner of the Commanders, needs to go. Be like, the first thing I'm doing up in here is I'm building an actual statue of Sean Taylor.
Apparently Magic Johnson's the part of this ownership group too.
Well, the sale hasn't been completed yet. It
hasn't been completed, but I understand that Magic Johnson's the part of the ownership group that's attempting to buy.
Yeah, like how he does that thing with the Dodgers, I think.
Right. Right. So
So
he'll probably buy his percentage, and then someone later on will probably wind up buying him out. He gets a nice little, um, package and get some money out of the deal, and you know, head back to the West Coast. But be that as it may, um, I just didn't get this pick.
yeah, I understand the talent this guy has. Like he's a long and lengthy corner. I honestly
I
thought
get,
they were gonna go quarterback here.
I, I thought this might be the place for Will Levis.
Yeah.
And me personally, I'm just going to say I'm not a. I've Hendon Hooker for me is not a. He's just average for me. You know, when it was like what's that quarterback that won the championship with Texas? Vince Young.
Vince Young.
Vince Young. That's what Hendon Hooker reminds me of. If that first option is not there, he hightailing it. He didn't go through his progressions. So you have to have for me, if you're going to draft Hendon Hooker, you better have a strong running game
Yeah.
and a strong offensive line and a strong crew of people around that you can probably, bring this kid along slowly. But I thought Levis was coming here to the Commanders, and it
Yeah.
didn't happen.
And
I was
even
like,
if they went cornerback, I thought that you would think they would take Gonzalez out of Oregon.
Gonzalez.
But they didn't. They got Emmanuel Forbes
Yeah,
out of Mississippi State. Look, I think it's a good pick. That was definitely a Ron Rivera pick right then and there. They probably wanted a lengthy corner, a tall, lengthy corner.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a quarter. It's a quarter that cornerback that you got to make some really good throws around this kid who is this long.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm sitting over here like, dude, don't have any rocks in the grass. He step on it, gonna break his leg. He's so skinny. you know. So I'm just like, he doesn't seem like he has the body for football, but we'll see. The
He can always
Commanders,
bulk up. You get him in these programs, these NFL programs. They'll definitely
that's true.
teach these
That's
guys how
true.
to eat, how to build muscle, all this and things like that. So,
That's true. So
yeah.
we'll see. But I mean, at first glance, I'm like 166 pounds, and he a cornerback. Okay.
Yeah. They also did not pick up Chase Young's fifth-year option. So,
What
hey,
did
he
he do in the
potentially
first four?
really didn't. I'll say because he was hampered by his injury he got. Hey, listen, I'm just saying this. If he's available, I will not be mad at the Bears trade for him and give him a
I
flyer.
wouldn't be mad if the Bears grabbed him either. But
So,
at the same time, though, if they're not picking up a fifth-year option, now is not the time to be going to go get him. Don't compensate the Commanders. Wait till he's a free agent and just grab him.
yep. Right now, looking at the second round, Steelers are on the clock for round 2. I'll
Yep.
announce that pick when that pick comes out.
Okay. Yeah, we got what was it, 54, 61, and 64? Was
Yep.
it 53?
Yeah. Now the one thing about the Steelers is they did say they did get some calls about some teams wanting to trade up to that pick. So obviously the team would have to give up a lot to move up to be the first pick of the second round, but we'll
Yeah,
see.
because
But
this is still essentially a first-round pick.
yeah.
The only thing that really just is separate from it being is just the money the player command
Yep.
not being in the first round.
Yep.
Yeah.
17 pick. The New England Patriots go Christian Gonzalez at cornerback. This was a Bill Belichick move.
Yeah.
I think I forgot the one defensive back that retired. I think McCourty retired. Um,
Cordy.
what is it? They needed to find some way to improve their backfield, but the only reason why I'm fine with the move that they did, I personally thought they should have went receiver here to give Mac Jones a legit go-to guy. And for whatever reason, I don't know why Bill Belichick won't do it. He won't give Mac Jones a number one receiver. I don't. Now maybe it's because they're going to try to trade for DeAndre Hopkins, but then again, the Cardinals GM said we're not going to do that. I don't know. I do think if this offense wants to go anywhere, they got to get Mac Jones some help from a receiver standpoint because he can't be walking into guys that are pretty much third to fourth round receivers on his outside. They got to give him some help. And I thought they would
Yeah,
have maybe taken
they gotta
receiver.
give him some help or just give him his unconditional release.
Yeah.
So Mac Jones, he's a product of Alabama, but he did so well because I mean, look who he had to throw to.
Yep.
He had first round draft picks for wide receivers, running backs, offensive linemen, and all he had to do was just not muck it up.
Yep.
You know, so but he did too much and rubbed certain folks the wrong way, meaning Bill Belichick. And now it's to the point whereas I'm pretty sure they'll probably do the same thing with him that the Commanders did with Chase Young, just hasta la vista. And we'll be in the what was it, Caleb Johnson sweepstakes
Caleb
next year.
Williams.
Caleb Williams, yeah.
Well, they got to be bad enough to do it because I don't see them training out that over there. So yeah, but Christian Gonzalez, he's gonna be a good corner for them.
Ransom to come get him.
Who knows?
Give up a king's ransom to come get him.
We'll see.
Panthers already set the precedent for the number one pick.
Yep. So yeah, Christian Gonzalez, he got taken again. It's kind of like with the offensive tackles. Once you start seeing like lockdown corners go, you want to probably get them.
Want to get one because the list is getting shorter and shorter.
Yep. But Christian Gonzalez, really good pick for the Patriots. Back to the Detroit Lions. Now, just like they got Demo, they re-signed Anzalone, the linebacker, only to draft Jack Campbell out of Iowa again. Another solid player. But it's another linebacker where you're like, what are we doing here?
Now, don't get me wrong. This might be a really good player.
Yes.
No, I'm not going to say might. This will be a really good player, especially in the Lions scheme. This will be a really good player. I'm just shocked that they just didn't address speed on the defense.
Yeah, secondary. People were saying they thought they were going to go cornerback, but they
didn't. And I like Campbell. I mean, he doesn't, blow you up as far as, his 40 time, but, he's a smart football player. He always seems to be in the right place at the right time. But yeah, man, they needed cornerback help, man. And I'm shocked they didn't address it unless they got a particular player that they're looking at for the later rounds.
Yep. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they ended up drafting defensive tackle from Pittsburgh, Kaija Cansey. Look, that's a solid move for them interior wise. He was pretty good for Pittsburgh last year. And it's gonna be interesting to see how he does in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I saw an interview with him, and just he looks good on paper. It looks good on the tape. But again, Tampa Bay is another one of them teams with a glaring need with a defensive-minded quarterback. I mean, defensive-minded head coach. No shocking they go defense when you got all of these problems on the offensive end.
Yeah.
I probably would have went and drafted quarterback, Tampa Bay. You just lost the best one of all time. You don't think you're going to have quarterback problems?
Who knows? They're about to announce the Steelers pick right now.
The Steelers pick is in?
Yep.
Joey Porter Jr. I'll say that.
You think it's Joey Porter Jr.?
Yeah, I would go Joey because they do need help in the secondary.
Yep, they want him, Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State, cornerback out of Penn State.
Yeah. And
so
then
just like his father.
The lineage, yeah. Yep. And
funny enough, the broadcast, we got the Steelers fan, showing Joey Porter's jersey when he played with the Steelers.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And see, I'm doing the NFL network where they like to talk.
I'm on ESPN. They just get right to the point.
Yeah, they get right to the point. Hey, the pick is in, but these guys here on the NFL network. Now, I will tell you, I love me some Daniel Jeremiah.
Yeah.
If I had to pick between Jeremiah, McShay, Kuiper, Jeremiah, I mean, he called that trade up to number 3 for the Texans.
Yeah.
He called that the day before.
Just a quick thing, Joey Porter Jr. That's going to be really good pick for their secondary for Pittsburgh right there.
Yes.
You know, when you
Yes.
got when you look at the other receivers in the other, you know, in the obviously AFC, you got Amari Cooper with the Browns, you have Odell Beckham Jr. now with the Ravens, and even Zay
Ravens.
Flowers with the Ravens.
I mean,
Jamar
in
Chase.
Cincinnati, I mean, it's like,
You got to get your lockdown corners in that freaking division.
you got to get your corners in that division. And they need another one
Yeah.
because Cincinnati, they've got two studs at the wide receiver position.
Yep. Uh,
So
Going back to the first round picks, Jackson Smith Njigba gets drafted by the Seattle Seahawks.
Seattle Seahawks, the
Now,
best receiver in this draft
yeah.
goes to the Seattle Seahawks. Pair him up with DK Metcalf. Oh my goodness gracious.
Oh, they're actually showing something. We forgot to mention Paris Johnson. His dad actually got drafted by the Cardinals too.
Oh, really?
So,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
That's some pretty good history.
Right now the Cardinals are on the clock again. But as my uncle was saying, they got DJ Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and
Tyler
Jackson Smith
Lockett.
Njigba. They also got Will Disley, who's a really good tight end too. I think
Yeah,
he's more of an underrated tight end in
I
the
agree.
NFL. But you know,
I
and then
agree.
you got
As a matter of
Kenneth
fact, I think
Walker.
Seattle's got two tight ends. And then Kenneth Walker the third. Oh my goodness gracious.
And hey, they had a really good offensive lineman on that they drafted last year. Listen, Seattle, not Seattle, San Francisco might need to watch out.
Seattle ain't playing. You go with you said Seattle ain't playing.
Yeah, they saw that they lost to San
All
Francisco
this talk
three times last year. Like, no, this is
Yep.
unacceptable. We got to freaking do better.
With all of that talk about those ex-Seattle players, talking about the Super Bowl and the catch, and Pete's indecision and things of that nature, which cost him that game. He ain't playing. He's showing he can coach football.
They've had average years and they pretty much recuperated. And now you can say if Geno Smith plays like he played last year, they're a Super Bowl contending team right now.
Yeah. Let me put it, I'll go even deeper. If Geno Smith plays like he did in that first half against San Francisco in the playoff game, they will go to the NFC Championship game.
Yeah. Obviously, the
They
number
will.
one thing is Jackson Smith and Njigba, he did have injury concerns that last year with that hamstring at Ohio State.
Yes.
And then obviously Metcalf, he has injury things. Now, I think they can be a problem, with Geno Smith playing to the level he played last year, and then obviously these receivers staying healthy. Right now, the only consistent.
And they probably need to go a little bit more deeper in the wide receiver room. So I don't look. I mean, I'm not going to say they're going to draft more players, but look for a couple free agents.
Update: Titans just traded their pick with the Cardinals, who were up in the second round. I don't know what they gave up, but I have to go see.
Yeah, I don't see either.
And their pick is already in, so they must have had somebody that they had in mind.
Yeah, it'll probably go defense again. I would think defense.
Yeah. I haven't seen Adam Schefter tweet what the heck they did.
On defense, man, they lost a lot. Byron Murphy's no longer there. Zach Allen's no longer there. So, I think they're going to have to probably look to maybe get some more secondary help, especially to cover up the
maybe this is the pick they draft the quarterback. Maybe they draft either Hendon Hooker or Will Levis.
Arizona?
No, Tennessee traded up.
Tennessee traded up.
Maybe that's what they go with. Quarterback? Only makes sense.
It wouldn't shock me.
So, yeah. Now, moving on to the next pick, the Los Angeles Chargers. We just said it. Not only with the offensive linemen, the cornerbacks. Wide receiver. Once one went, the other one started to go. Chargers draft.
They're saying the Titans pick is in.
Yeah, I'm seeing on the ESPN feed too.
So they haven't really.
They haven't revealed what it is yet. But the
Right.
Chargers, they ended up taking Quentin Johnston out of TCU, a big, solid receiver out of TCU. I think that's a good pickup. With the fact that now you pair him alongside Keenan Allen, freaking Mike Williams, who you re-signed already. I think they
Yep.
still have Guyton there. Oh my,
Yep.
another solid wide. And that's another weapon for freaking Justin Herbert. Now,
Yep.
I'm gonna hate going to Sub
And,
Harbor.
and you know what we talked about with the Chargers last year? My biggest problem with the Chargers, they were just wasn't deep at any
Yep.
position. They couldn't afford an injury. So when Mike Williams went down, they were just like, dude, man, there's nothing that's there.
The pick is in, and the Titans select quarterback Will Levis out of Kentucky.
Travis.
Now the problem is Will Levis, he took his ass home for some odd reason instead of just staying at the
I
draft.
would have went home too, man. Come on now. You can't risk. Oh no, you can't risk this happening 2 days in a row now. And he had some honeys with him on and they sitting around him like he's some doggone
The
man.
one,
That was so funny.
did you see the one?
He's
Did
like,
you see the images of the one in the red dress? She gave him that
yeah,
look, like you just
yeah.
really lost $1,000.
Well, you got come on, man. You paid me to be here and to do this.
Well,
So I was
look, Will Levis. Now, personally, I'm fine with Will Levis being drafted in the second round. He was more like that type of quarterback for me than a first round quarterback. I think he's going to be now. Again, they got to give him some weapons in place. They obviously got Skronsky, an offensive tackle. Whether they do whatever they do with him, listen, he could be their quarterback of the future. But personally, I'm not really high on Will Levis. You're honestly getting a just much younger Ryan Tannehill, in my opinion. So,
well, I mean,
he could prove to be a really good quarterback in this league. I'm just not sold on him.
well, we'll see if the Titans get uh help for him at the skill positions.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Derrick Henry right now. You still got a solid offensive line. And Levis, if he can do anything, he got a big arm. He can definitely chuck it down the field. You just got to have someone he can throw to. That could be, I mean, it could be Burks. We don't know, but we will see.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he got drafted. I'm glad he got drafted.
Yeah.
And then one of them Thurman Thomas deals back when, and he wound up waiting for days.
Yeah.
Before he was drafted. So,
and this could be one of the things where if he shows out in Tennessee and he ends up becoming another great AFC quarterback, then people can look. Other teams will look back and be like, "Oh, maybe we should have drafted this guy in the first round."
Correct.
So
keep in mind now, it's the coach for me.
Yep, Mike Vrabel.
It's the coach for me. The coach is going to be like, "Oh, they drafted Will Levis in the second round." Huh. All right. So for me, it's going to be Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. Which one is going to be that?
Yeah.
One that they all talk about. They say, "Hey,
they're both in the same division." So,
yep, shouldn't have drafted them, or you should have drafted. Good pick.
Lions pick already in already.
Lions is already in, huh?
Yep. Lions are selecting. Sam Laporta, tight end out of Iowa.
Yeah, this draft is tight end heavy.
Yep. Going back to Quentin Johnson. Look,
probably if you're grabbing a tight end right now, and the best tight end that's drawing comparisons to Kelsey, why didn't you just draft him with 18?
Dalton Kincaid.
Draft him at 18. Jack Campbell would have been here at this pick.
I don't know. Yeah. Quentin Johnson, great pick. That's another weapon for Justin Herbert to use. Now, there's really no, he's already a great quarterback, but again, no more excuses to not do better. Then Ravens, again, another wide receiver just going off the board. Finally, the Ravens signed Lamar Jackson to the contract he wanted. Pretty much, he gets 10 million more than what
Hurts got.
Yeah, Hurts. 260 mil.
260. And I think it was more than 10 mil. I thought Hurts' final number was 241. I could
No, I
be
think it was
wrong.
250, 250.
250 or
I forgot. I
251.
don't know the guarantees though. I forgot the guarantees though.
It might be 251, which is the reason why I know there was a one up in there. Sam Laporta. Oh,
Yep.
he was all right.
Yeah.
He was okay.
But the Ravens, after doing that, hey, took them long enough to finally realize maybe we got to get some help around Lamar Jackson. You get
Well, you would think they actually said that. Wow.
you got to keep
All these years.
your newly signed quarterback happy. You got Odell Beckham Jr., which I think played a role in him resigning. And now you draft Zay Flowers out of Boston College, who's a really good receiver out of Boston College.
That was a
Um
good pick.
pair him up
Now,
with Odell Beckham Jr., which with honestly with whatever's left of Odell Beckham Jr.
he's not a
Clearly,
big guy, though,
yeah.
Flowers. He's not a big guy. For me, he reminds me a lot of Marquise Brown when he was with
Mm-hmm.
the Ravens.
Yeah.
Small receiver, very fast, very quick, But, with Bateman and Duvernay, OBJ, Flowers, the wide receiver room in Baltimore looks really good.
Yep. Next receiver. I was not shocked. I was actually thinking about this when they saw it, and then when the Vikings took Jordan Addison out of USC, I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I figured they would do that direction. They gotta
Yeah.
pair something up to make up for the loss of Adam Thielen.
Yeah.
Now listen, if the Vikings had a quarterback, I'd be worried, but I don't trust Kirk Cousins. I don't honestly, as a Bears fan, I'm like, okay, you got the receivers, get a quarterback, and maybe you got me a little scared, but they got Kirk Cousins. I ain't worried. But hey, to pair Jordan Addison, who was really good, with Caleb Williams at USC, alongside what is it? Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson.
You could put him in the slot, Jefferson in the hey, that's a good duo. They also got KJ Osborne. They got TJ Hawkinson. They got a nice little receiving core over there in Minnesota. I can't lie as a Bears fan. As much as I don't like the Vikings, I can't lie.
Yep. And the rumor is they're also separating themselves from Dalvin Cook.
Yep.
So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, you are right. Regardless of what they do in Minnesota, regardless of what players they bring in Minnesota, whether they're fast, strong, quick, things of that nature, in the end, they still got Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. Giants. They ended up trading up with the Bills.
Yes.
And they take cornerback Deontay Banks. I don't know much about him, but hey, it's a cornerback to help out in their secondary. They need that. Hey, you'll take any cornerback right there.
This is where I would have thought they would have went for that tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Dalton
Kincaid.
That's where I thought that, you made some strides with the offense. And, adding another pass catcher would have been really good for the Giants, I thought, especially when you can control the field in between the numbers, which is something the Giants really didn't do effectively. But they didn't, and they went cornerback. It was
Raiders,
nice.
The Las Vegas Raiders are selecting. Hold on. They selected Michael Mayer, tight end from Notre Dame.
See what I mean? Once that first tight end comes off the board, here come all the other ones.
People said he was the best tight end out of this draft. So
yeah, Meyer was definitely very good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Hey, that's a nice little soft blanket for Jimmy G, and that's the replacement for what's his face? I'm trying to think. The guy they traded to the Giants. Frick. What was his name? The tight end that the Raiders used to have. Frick. I forgot his name, but he was a really good tight end that they had. I don't know if you can think of it yourself. I'm not.
No, I'm trying to. I can't think of it. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank, but they replaced the tight end at
it'll come up probably at the most inopportune time.
Yeah. So that'll be the thing there. Speaking of tight ends, the Bills, they traded back and they get Dalton Kincaid. They give Josh Allen a really good tight end weapon to use at his disposal. What more can you say? Good for him.
Yeah,
The Cowboys, they ended up taking Mozzie Smith, defensive tackle out of Michigan. I
that
think
was a good pick.
it's a solid defensive rotation line guy that they
That was a
need.
good pick. They needed another edge rusher on the other side of Micah Parsons.
He's a defensive
And
tackle.
yeah, well, I mean, they still need it. I mean, but he can be an edge rusher too now. I
Mhm.
mean, he played a lot of edge when they were in Michigan.
Mhm.
So, but they needed someone that can actually get to the quarterback, because for all intents and purposes, the only one that could get to the quarterback was Micah Parsons.
Yep. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they ended up trading up, and they ended up taking Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma, offensive tackle. Um, I think he's strictly there to replace Jawan Taylor, the loss of
Yep.
Jawan Taylor. Um,
Yep.
I don't know how good this good dude is, because really it's the four offensive tackles that got selected before this guy, and then it's kind of a drop off, you know.
Yep.
So hey, they need to replace him. And also, I think I heard on the broadcast that one of their current offensive tackles, he's out because of PED suspension for a few games. So
Oh, really?
yeah. So hey, they needed to load up on the tackles.
Yep.
They need to protect Trevor Lawrence because you don't want him getting hit too much either.
Yep. And every quarterback should have a really good tackle, a left tackle.
Next player from the Bengals selected defensive end Miles Murphy out of Clemson. Hey, they needed an edge rusher, a defensive end, a lot, to freaking rush the passer, improve
Yep.
that defense, pretty much.
Yep. And then on top of that, I'll look for also the Bengals to address some secondary
Yeah,
needs
they
as
need
well
to
moving forward. So,
get a
um,
safety.
yeah, for real, because
Um,
they lost a good one.
yeah. Next, draft pick Brian Breezy out of Clemson, defensive tackle. The Saints ended up selecting him. I like the move. It's good for
That
them.
was
It's
a good pick. That was
obviously
a
you
pick. It
feel
has
for the guy.
versatility on the defensive line. Really good versatility on the defensive line. He can go in. He can go tackle. I think the only issue that a lot of people might have had with him is maybe he had a his injury history he had at college, whereas he just didn't play as much as he would have liked. But all in all, no one questions this kid's skill, ability, and heart.
Yeah, especially with what he had to go through.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Um, Philadelphia Eagles. They ended up having the 30th pick, and they ended up taking outside linebacker Nolan Smith out of Georgia.
I still say Seattle won the draft, but at
They're
the
a close
same
second.
time, yeah, Philadelphia. I mean, with all that experience they already had on that defense, to add these two guys and in the first round, I'm saying we ain't even through with the draft just yet.
Yeah.
And they add these two guys in the first round was actually a stroke of genius.
Yeah, he probably the replacement for TJ Edwards.
Yeah.
Likely. So hey, that's a good pickup for them. Again, it's another teammate for Jalen Carter to make sure he gets, straightened out and things like that, and he feels comfortable and things like that. So yeah,
Yep.
and then the last pick of the first round was the Kansas City Chiefs, which are Super Bowl champions, and they drafted Felix and Diki Uzama. Again, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if I butchered the name. He's a defensive end. We know that I think they cut Frank Clark, because he was
Yeah.
doing too much money, and
They
obviously that's
did.
kind of the
But
thing
at the
there.
same time, you put that edge rusher on the other side, opposite George Karflautis,
Yep.
and man, these cats are going to be, man, barring injury, these two cats are going to be getting to the quarterback.
Torrey Holt announcing the Rams pick right now.
Oh, golly, gee, really? This is the Rams' first pick.
Yep, they ended up taking Steve of Avila, guard out of TCU.
Yep.
Hey, I'll say this. That's a good pick because they needed to shore up that offensive line because they were getting beat up. They had a bad offensive line last year. So
I
that's a
agree.
good pick for the Rams.
I agree.
So, other than that, that's pretty much it of what we got to say here for the first round. If you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on the picks. Again, we did a little bit second round stuff because it was kind of in, but we will give our full Bears draft recap as well too. But yeah, anyways, if you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section. Other than that, till then, guys, peace.